It is time, so I would like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Hicksville Exempted Village School District. Call to order, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Iden?
Here.
Mrs. Jones?
Here.
Mrs. Mazur?
Here.
Mr. Meston? Here. Mrs. Carey?
Here. I'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to all those who chose to come tonight. Okay, well, starting off with our principal's report, Ms. Kaufman, you are on spot.
Good evening. Well, basically, I came back to work today just to start on requisitions for our fall. Kind of waited a little bit just to see where we're at. I know the last time we were waiting on our monies to come in from title. They did come in. I think we were only really about $3,000 short of what we were given last year. So that was good. And it has been approved with just a few little adjustments to be made before we do our next review. And I know that we've just been working as an admin team with some different grants that have been coming in that has provided some extra monies, you know, for the safety equipment and things that we have to purchase. So, yeah, that's about it.
Where are we with numbers on our kindergarten class?
On our kindergarten class?
Put you on the spot.
Well, I can tell you, we have probably 19 to 20 kids per class. So we have a good amount. I had to think about it because I have quite a few that are, I think I have about 4 or 5 that have registered that I have not physically placed into a class yet. So we're going to have a good amount, 19 to 20 kids right now, with 14 being in Mrs. Countryman's readiness class. I always like to keep that a little bit smaller just for those kiddos that move in that make that 2-month window. So
you've gained some then, Kirsten,
yes.
from where we were, because
yes.
it was 17, I think around 17
Yeah.
or 18.
Yeah, I can think of 5 names right now because I've actually spoken with Mrs. Countryman to see if she would be interested in coming and assessing because some of them have not had any preschool experience. So I don't want to just place them into a classroom not really knowing where they're at.
Any other reports?
Not from me.
Okay.
So first off, I just want to say thank you for having me on the agenda to be approved for the middle school principal position. It's an honor to be able to contribute to the continued success of Hicksville schools and continue to make a difference in this new position. I've been in the school often over the past 2 months, everything from getting my classroom cleaned out to setting up my new office. Working collaboratively with Mrs. Kaufman, Mr. Slatter, and Mr. Countryman, working to get a plan in place for this school year. And then even have a 5th grade teacher that has agreed to the position and is on the agenda to be approved later. That's really all I have, though, for right now.
We are so excited to have you in this position.
Well, thank you very much. I
Looking
appreciate
forward
it.
to everything that you're going to be doing.
Although I will say that there are some broken-hearted parents out there because they're like, oh, he was so good at teaching math.
I appreciate that as well. Hopefully I can make a bigger difference in the principal position.
Everybody that I talked to was extremely supportive. Everybody's like, "Wow, that was awesome. That is great." So, yeah,
I appreciate all the kind words.
Very well accepted by the community. So,
Thank you.
Board.
Thank you.
4 county report. I did actually speak with Denny. Denny and Mr. Meister. Am I saying Meister?
Meister.
I want to say that correctly. They wanted to convey their support of the board and in our position with the Hillendale Farms abatement. Denny specifically said that Hillendale needs to be held more accountable as far as their taxes go here in the county. But he also said pretty much everything's kind of normal out at Ford County. They haven't had a lot going on. They haven't had their different reports in over the summer like they normally do. They held off on the AEC updates for a little bit and normal hire, rehire type of things going on, so nothing to note from that. So that was it for that, and moving right along to superintendent's report.
Yeah, I have quite a bit that I'm going to be easier if I just read it. That way I don't skip anything. But first of all, I have a thank you note to all of us from Brooklyn Page Graber, thanking us for choosing her as a recipient for our scholarship that we give away each year. So that was from her, and she says she appreciates it, and it'll be a huge help as she continues in her college career. Okay, for my report, the building project is on schedule. They're currently digging footers, and most likely we'll be pouring those footers later this week or early next week. And the building is still scheduled to be delivered the first part of September. Jim Fellers is in the building, and he's started the process of switching all of the urinals over to the water urinals instead of waterless urinals. And then this whole next part is really concerning school and getting school opened up this fall. So it'd be easier, as I said, if I just kind of read what I wrote here. So the big concern with everyone is the reopening of schools this fall. The 5 county schools released a county plan last week on Thursday. It was sent out to all parents in the district. Each of us are now working on a district plan that we hope to release later this week or early next week. The difficult part is we receive information almost daily that requires us to adjust our plan to new recommendations. As the superintendent of the school, it is very concerning on what direction to take. We have parents who feel the whole COVID thing is a farce, and we have parents who are not planning on sending their kids to school even if we have it. My job is to meet the needs of both of those families. And I'd like to tell parents this, that for those who are totally against sending your children to school, we have an option that you could utilize instead of homeschooling. It is an online program that we've had for several years called NOVA, and through that we're creating the Hicksville Virtual Academy. It will be an online program that will meet the needs of preschool through 12th grade. There would be no cost to families who would choose to go this route. There, of course, are attendance requirements and course requirements, but the bottom line, it is a resource that parents can utilize right from their home. We have actually used this program for years with students who need credit recovery, and we found it to be very successful for the students. We would assign a teacher to monitor student progress who would also be able to assist students through the online programs. And all the counties in the school, I believe, are doing the same thing. So there's going to be an Ayersville Virtual Academy and so on. Another hot topic is masks. Some parents said they would refuse to send their child to school without a mask, and some refused to send them with a mask. To this, I would say that whatever decision we make, I ask all of our parents to support. Arguing about it on Facebook and throughout the community only makes it worse for the kids. The most important thing for us all right now is to work together for the good of the students. We need to think about them right now and be as comforting to them as we possibly can. I know for a fact there are many young students who have been nowhere since our shutdown began in March. They need positive support from everyone in this community. They need to know their parents and educators are working together to keep them as safe as possible. I encourage all parents to have conversations with your children about returning to school, remote learning, masks, washing hands, sanitizing, be considerate to others, and the list goes on and on. And it's time for us to work together for the kids. I can assure you I'm not going to make everyone happy, but I can assure you that I will be there for each and every one of our kids. And I want them to know we are here for them, and that no matter what requirements we have or don't have, we'll be here for them. I will have our local plan out hopefully Friday of this week or very early next week, and I thank the community in advance for 100% of your support. It's been really tough trying to put this whole thing together, and thinking of the kids, I know that there are so many kids that have in our plan. I can say this too. In our plan, I know that I speak about the resources that we have through our guidance counselors, through the TACKLE program, through Job and Family Services and other resources that we have for our kids, because when we're adults, we understand this. There's a lot of little kids, they don't understand what's going on, and right now would not be the time to be arguing about it amongst ourselves. So we're going to have to get through this together as a community, as we always do, and I know we will, but that's my stance on it for now, and we'll go from there, and hopefully I'll have that plan out Friday or early next week, as I said.
It's a good article in the paper for
Thank
you.
Yes, it was.
Wednesday. Yeah, kind of laying the groundwork for some of the
Yes.
stuff that you talked about,
Yeah.
and I think it spoke to a lot of people.
Well, I worked on it a lot today, and I was telling Mindy just a little bit ago that I was actually in Fort Wayne this afternoon at a doctor's appointment for my wife, and I got a text message from the other superintendents in the county that wanted to have a Zoom meeting right then, and I'm driving. So she got it connected on the phone, and I actually could listen to it through my truck, which made it nice. But as I said, the whole thing, there's information that we anticipate will hit the news here in the next few days that will alter our plan, and we're going to have to make some adjustments to tweak it again. But it's a prime example of how quickly it can change from one day to the next. Yeah.
I think too, a lot of people may not realize how much goes into it. I got on the Ohio Department of Education website and read the resource, and it's 36 pages long, just about reopening schools. So there's a lot of different aspects that people may not realize go into the reopening plan.
And that's right, Jen, and a lot of it, they're recommendations.
Right.
They're not requirements. So that's one of the things that makes it really difficult for us, because it's frustrating, because if they would say this is how it's going to be, then we're all in this together, where they're more or less leaving it up to districts. And what goes on in Hicksville is way different than Cleveland or Columbus. I get that and I understand that, but I also know for a fact that there are several cases of COVID right here in Defiance County, and it just takes a little bit for that to spread to other people. So we here in our little old community need to be very conscientious about that and watch it. But yeah, it changes that quick. It really does. So I'm going to have to go back and tweak my plan again.
I'm sure you will many times
Yeah.
to come.
Yeah,
It's
well,
just
and
important
that's right.
that everybody stay flexible.
That's
That's
right.
right.
The entire
Caitlin,
process.
that's exactly it. We're going to have to be flexible, and a remote learning option is also, I talk about in our plan. What does that mean? That means like if somebody is quarantined for 14 days, then our teachers are going to have to do remote learning for that student to keep them up to par and where they need to be. And that will be different than what we did this spring. So we're going to have to work with our teachers on what that remote plan is going to look like. Then which is not out of the realm of things to think of, but if they would shut us down again, we have to have a remote learning plan in place. In fact, I have to have that submitted to OD and approved by August 21st. So I will send that to the health department first to get their approval before I send it on then to Ohio Department of Education. But
I like though that the health department, ODE, have gone county to county, and because we're not the same as Cleveland or Columbus or that type of thing, but we have to be flexible again, because if our county does go to red or to the
Purple,
and it talked about on ODE's website a flare-up plan. So what happens if our community has a flare-up? What do we do? But it's also nice to know that we can plan for that, and we're not necessarily shutting down for the entire school year either.
right.
So again, being flexible. And
Right. Well, the school year is going to go on, regardless, whether
Right.
we're here or not. We just need to be prepared to make it as effective if it's at home as it would be if it were here.
Mhm.
And so we're going to have to work with our teachers. I've been working with Mike and Kirsten and Jeff because professional development is going to be key with our employees getting them to the level that we would expect
In the classroom.
in the classroom. That's right.
I had a teacher say to me that the things you usually teach the first 2 weeks, she's going to change that a lot because you want to teach them all of those things that they're going to need to know if we do have to go virtual. That they'll know how to get into this document. They'll know how to open this and to send things back. And, you know, all of those little things that were hard last year. If we can at least get started together and get some of that taught, it'll help a lot no matter what happens.
Right. Right.
I think you about have to go into it with the thought process that the rug's going to get pulled out at some stage, at some point in time. You know, and who knows what's going to happen? I mean, you know, they talk about, you know, this fall being, you know, Thanksgiving on, shutting colleges down, but who knows how it's going to play out? I mean, you know, you just don't know.
All right. Any other comments or questions? All right, moving on. I need a motion for the minutes and financials.
I'll move.
Thank you, Steph.
I'll second. Galen got it.
Galen? Okay.
That goes to the runner.
So we have the minutes from the regular board meeting on June 15th, 2020, and then the treasurer's consent agenda items, cash reconciliation as of June 30th, 2020, financial statements for June 2020, approve the amended official certificate of estimated resources for fiscal year 2021 as presented, total general fund resources of $14,104,169.93, and total resources of all funds of $18,475,926.96. Approve fiscal year 2021 amended temporary appropriations as presented, total general fund appropriations of $9,055,129.91, and total appropriations of all funds of $11,590,131.07. Approve the transfer of $41,657.29 from the general fund to the food services fund. Approve memorandum of agreement for deposit of public funds with Farmers and Merchants State Bank for a 5-year period of July 9th, 2020 through July 8th of 2025 as presented. Accept the following donations: $250 from the Wholesale House for girls basketball. Mike, any comments?
Yes, I just wanted to update you, the fiscal year 20, we finished in the black by $48,189, so
Yay.
it was nice to see that after the state the last month and a half reduced our funding, state foundation funding, by $146,000. So we were able to overcome that. Essentially, what helped propel us through that is real estate taxes in the year were up a little bit more than estimated, but also applied some $80,000 of school wellness and success funds against applicable expenditures that had come from operating. So anyways, it was good to see that. The $126,000 that came through the state related to the CARES Act, we have not spent any of that. We could have spent some of it this last fiscal year, so that money's all available in this upcoming year. We also just found out this past week that we'll be getting $45,386 in federal coronavirus relief funds. These funds are to be used for pandemic-related expenditures, so PPE, and if we're doing virtual learning, the equipment, the software, different things associated with that, but it is designated for the pandemic-related activities. The lunchroom, unfortunately, with the close down, really had basically no revenue for the last 2.5 months of the school year. We had been working, the lunchroom had been running in the black for several months. It seemed like it had sort of turned a corner until the COVID came. So on the agenda is the transfer of $41,657, which was the amount that we finished the year in the red. So that money will be going from the general fund to supplement the lunchroom fund. The athletic fund finished the year $13,715 in the black. Now, of course, the spring season is not a lot of revenue generated. There are expenditures associated to that. So not sure how we'd have ended up finishing if there was a spring sports season. But as far as what we did have, almost $14,000 in the black. So that fund is as strong as it's ever been, at least that I can see going back in the records.
So what is there, about 70,000 in that account?
Yeah,
Ballpark?
that's, top of my head, I'm thinking 68, but we have in that, oh, you have a better guess, $75,000 basically. So 74,987 is where we finished at the end of the year in the athletic account, athletic director's account. Another revenue source that it's not completely new, but this current biennial budget for fiscal year 20, we received $118,000 in school wellness and success funds. This coming year, when the budget came out, there was an estimate, but they estimated we'd be around the neighborhood of $169,000 in fiscal year 21. Well, the state has reclassified some things, moved some things around, and now it appears as though we will be eligible for about $193,000. So good news, it looks like we will be getting more from the Student Wellness Success Funds than what had originally been expected. So it's a little update I had on our current finances. Any questions?
Okay, I had a question. On page 20 in the receipts, it says half-mil equalization program payment, equalization program from half-mil. I just didn't know what that was.
That is for the building project for this K-12 building that the state required through a state building project. That you had to put a $500,000 towards the building. So we do in our taxes, $500,000 is coming out of the permanent improvement fund and put into a maintenance fund. But what ended up happening at sometime after the program started, the state realized that depending on the wealth of the district, that they just didn't have a very fair amount of revenue. If your valuation's really low, you don't get a lot out of the $500,000. So they did it at the $500,000 equalization payment is what they call it. So the district will get that payment, I think it's for 23 years, 23 or 26 years. So
Okay.
unfortunately, that did go down. I think it was probably part of the state's cuts. It went down less than $1,000 than what we've been getting. But it has been, every year I've ever seen one of those, including here, I looked at the history of Hicksville, and it was the exact same amount until this year. So I'm presuming that was part of the cuts made through the governor's office for funding. So
Okay. Thanks.
No other question?
Mike, what was that number again? You said we were in the black by how much?
$48,189.
Thank you.
And what did you say the pandemic numbers? What was the amount we were going to get from the pandemic?
Well, the latest grant that came had an amount of $45,386.
Okay, thanks.
And we do have some revenues remaining from, like I said, the $126,000 from last year. Actually, most of that's, well, all of it's still there. We did not spend it. You could have backdated it to March 13th. But it's a good feeling to know that we still have that available to use those dollars in this year and still finish in the black this past year.
And off subject just a little bit, Keith, but I know like when school got canceled back in March, we had donated a bunch of hand sanitizer to the hospital. How are we doing now as
Yeah.
far as supplies?
Eric's got that all replaced. The containers back there are in every room, every office, every nook, every cranny almost. We've also purchased some that are on stands that are at the entrances and the offices and throughout the main event hallway and in the commons area and by the gyms.
So we're good on supplies?
Yeah.
For what?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
While we're on the topic of supplies, I do know that there are several people in town who make masks and have approached me about donating them if any kids would need them. So if you want the names of those people, I'll get with you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Okay. Mrs. Mazur,
Yes.
Mr. Methvin,
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes. Passes 5-0. Need a motion for employment of certified staff?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Minda and Craig, thank you. Recommend issuing a 1-year contract to Michael Altman as middle school principal commencing August 1st, 2020 and ending July 31st, 2021.
I'd just like to say that, we know what we're getting with Mike, and we're really glad that he's joining our team. There were several awesome candidates, and it was difficult to narrow that down, but as I said, Mike, he does an outstanding job in the classroom, proven year after year after year, and when he came to me and expressed an interest in the principal's position, I'm like, oh, my first thought was, oh my God, how am I ever going to replace him in the classroom? And he said that I'll be able to help more people in the principal's position, and I thought that was an awesome comment. So we're really glad to have Mike on our team. I know he's going to be a great asset for Hicksville schools.
And I have to say, when I first started coming to board meeting, Travis and Jeff started, and when Travis left, I was like, oh no, but then we got Andy. Andy left, and now we have Mike. I mean, we attract some of the best people, and I'm so excited. I don't really like change sometimes, but I'm excited about this change, and I think you're just going to do an awesome job.
We're all
So,
replaceable.
that's right, we are, absolutely. I'm just glad we keep getting better and better and
I
better.
know, right?
So, okay. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes, passes 5-0. Okay.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
Yes.
Although you've
welcome.
started already and have been
Yeah.
working hard.
Before
Okay, so I need another motion.
I'll move.
Steph, thank you.
Second.
Is that Galen?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. Recommend issuing a 1-year contract to Rachel Werman, is that how it's? Okay. As classroom instructor with a BA 150 degree and 0 years experience for the 2020-21 school year. Recommend to approve the following as kindergarten jumpstart camp instructor, August 17th through the 21st of 2020. Sandy Brown, lead instructor, at a rate of $28.24 per hour. Recommend to approve the following as a volunteer for the 2020-21 school year, Kate Haggerty, for cross country.
And just so we know, Kirsten just looked at me, and it's okay that that's still on there. We've actually canceled the kindergarten jumpstart for the year, but I think it's okay to leave it on there, Kirsten. I mean, as quickly as this came, we can all pray that it would leave as quickly as it came, and we could throw that back on, and having it already approved would be awesome. So no harm done. If we don't have it, she obviously won't get paid. So.
Okay. All right. Roll call, please.
Sorry, I didn't catch the motions. Ma'am.
Steph and Galen.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Services and agreements.
I'll move.
Thank you, Steph.
I'll second.
Thank you, Minda. Recommend to approve a service agreement with Northwest Ohio Virtual Academy for licenses and other instructional materials for the 2020-21 school year at the estimated cost of service of $2,750. Recommend to approve the 2020-21 Ohio Student Accident Insurance Program administered by Student Protective Agency. Is that the total
Is,
for Nova?
I was
like per student or just the entire thing?
Yeah,
Exactly,
That's,
yeah.
that is estimated based on what we've spent in the past. Yeah, so I'm working with them on the pricing on that at this
Okay.
point, but it all depends, Galen, on how many people would decide to go that route,
Okay.
on how many licenses I have to purchase, and a license does not cost $2,750.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Questions, comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Mazur,
Yes.
Mrs. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Iden,
Yes.
Mr. Methvin,
Yes.
Mrs. Carrier.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. We're going to jump to the addendum to services and agreement. Need a motion?
I'll move.
I'll
Craig?
second.
Galen, thank you. To approve a resolution number 2021/02 for the intent to participate in the Ohio Schools Council's Cooperative Purchasing Program. Yes, we are.
I was wanting to add, obviously, we've talked for a number of months now about the grant from the state for school bus purchase, almost $52,000. So Keith and I did a little investigating and found that Ohio Schools Plan, or Ohio Schools Council, is a purchasing consortium. And our past one had gone through a purchasing consortium, Meta Solutions. Through our research, we found that we could get the bus cheaper by going through Ohio Schools Council. So that's why we need to become a member of them. There is a fee to that. It's like $200 plus 18 cents per child or so. We'll have $350 or so into that cost, but the savings was like $1,100. So we'll still have a savings, $700 or something like that, by going through the Ohio Schools Council. So that's why I wanted to get this out in front of you guys. I'll get this approved if we can, then we could move forward with this purchase of this bus. The state has awarded the amount, but the language they used said the allocation could be changed. So it's my desire to get this moving along and get our reimbursement from the state before the state decides that they're not going to reimburse what they originally said.
Once they give it to us, we wouldn't have to give it back.
Well, I would hope not.
We don't want to let it go. Slip away.
So my experience with the county with like consortiums like this is there's opportunities for purchasing other things. Are we going to look into, being a member of this? Are there other areas that we could be purchasing items and
I
savings?
think there is the cafeteria.
Yeah, there's a number of, I don't think that
I mean, you don't have to,
information was provided in your packet, but yeah, there are different things from property liability insurance to lunchroom related items, food items, a lot of times paper, school supplies, electricity. There's a lot of different things. In fact, actually several months ago, a representative for the House Schools Council came in and spoke to Mr. Countryman and I, and I think they also talked about as far as utility. So we kind of have ourselves in agreement now regardless, but at some point in time, yeah, we should at least keep that in mind.
building supplies, classroom.
Yeah, there are some
We have
maintenance
a couple
related, but
classrooms we have to outfit.
I don't know if there's,
Furniture.
There are
Yeah,
different,
classroom
different
furniture.
things. And like the lunchroom, there's a school consortium, HPS, so there's a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of them in the state of Ohio. So I don't know if there's a lot of difference between some, but some specialize in certain areas. HPS also provides more services related to the food, because we get our food through them, our Gordon Food Service order. So, yeah, that's something
I mean,
they
I
do.
guess I think if we're spending the cost to become a member, let's look at all the possible ways we can use it to our advantage.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Any other comments? I guess they're
Mr.
laid
Wright?
out. They're laid out separately, so do we need to
Yeah.
Yes,
do
we
them?
want a roll
Okay.
call.
Roll call then.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes. That motion passes 5-0. Need a second for the next resolution.
I'll move.
Steph, thank you.
I'll second.
Minda, thank you. That is to approve Resolution 2021-03, providing authorization to purchase from school bus bids received by Ohio Schools Council. So I think we kind of covered that in our discussion. Roll call?
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes, sorry. Writing things down. Okay, back to our previous page under other business. Need a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Steph, Galen. Okay, so this is to approve Resolution 2021-01 for the intent not to provide career technical education in grades 7 and 8 as presented. It's pretty routine, we do this every year. Okay. Roll call?
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Another
I'll move.
motion. Craig, thank you.
I'll second.
Minda? To approve recommendation to amend the adult school lunch price from $3.60 to $3.80 effective August 31st, 2020, and recommend to approve the athletic ticket prices for the 2020-21 school year. Comments or questions?
There's more on that.
Page.
Oh, okay. Got my amended in there. Recommend to extend recognition and congratulations to the following high school students for their superior award ratings at the Ohio State Science Day: Kyler Baird, Taylor Early, Emily Harmon, and Emma Schumann. Did they do that virtually, or did they actually get to travel?
We did that virtually, I believe. And on the, just so you know, on the ticket pricing, I spoke with Jeff Hott today a little bit, and he doesn't plan on getting in any big hurry on selling the season passes at this point, because we don't know yet what's going to happen with fall sports. So he doesn't want to have a bunch of them sold and then have to reimburse the money. So he's going to just hold off a little bit before we start selling them.
Well, and a lot of people at this stage probably won't buy them because of the
Yeah.
possibility.
Right.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Iden?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Mazur?
Yes.
Mr. Methvin?
Yes.
And Mrs. Carrier?
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Old business, I wanted to update you guys on the tax abatement. I reached out, as you know, I spoke with the commissioners, it's been a couple weeks now, and expressed our concerns with them. And I reached out to Jerry Hayes today, and he said, on July 7th, the commissioners told Jerry Hayes from Economic Development to offer Hillendale Farms a 70% exemption for a 10-year term with a $10,000 annual school donation for the schools, Hicksville and 4 County combined. Hillendale was disappointed with this proposal and had some questions on why the change from previous exemptions. Then the county commissioners actually met today, and they did not make a decision on the Hillendale Farms tax abatement. They plan to make a decision by this Thursday. There was a conversation about an agreement with a 60% exemption level. There was discussion about the length of the agreement ranging from 5 to 10 years, and also a discussion regarding the school donations to both Hicksville and Fort County. So that's where we are right now with them.
Is it $10,000 total between the
Total.
two? Yes,
Mhm.
okay.
Yes.
Jen, thanks for taking the time to do that.
Yes.
I appreciate it, because you know what, it's important, we're, have to, you know, I mean, it's a balancing act. You know,
It
we
is.
have to stand up for our community, but yet at the same time, we don't wanna, you know, push away business either. So it's, I think there just needs to be a fair resolution to it, and it probably needs to be somewhere in the middle there. So I think it's good that we're addressing it.
Right.
Back on the $10,000,
Mhm.
was that confirmed total, or that's an annual 10,000?
Annual, because he actually sent me, it would be 10,000 each year was what they were proposing, combined Hicksville and Fort County.
Okay,
So how
for
Total-
the two,
So
okay.
5,000.
5 or 5, okay.
Yeah.
5 and 5?
It was not specified specifically. I would think, I mean,
Stand to
that would
reason,
be
but you
logical,
never know.
but, right, it was not specified. So,
Does Fort County take as much of a hit as we do with the taxes?
I bet they don't.
I wouldn't think so either.
You know, when you think about it, it should be more like a 70-30,
Yeah.
20-ish,
It should be
but
prorated in
yeah.
our favor, I think.
well, and I kind of thought, I mean, per student, I mean, you know, if we represent teaching 75% of the students in our district versus Fort County, you know,
Mhm.
but, I mean, who knows? It wasn't specified, so.
Well, yeah, I think that's something we may want to look into, getting that prorated, because typically, you know, it is that the vocational centers are a smaller proportion because they've got a bigger base that goes outside of our,
Mhm.
you know, our school district.
Mhm.
So if there's a 50-50 split, we're kind of compensating other districts for their use of vocational school.
Definitely. Schools in Williams County. Fulton, yeah.
So I think if that is something we should have them look into, what would be a fair prorated amount.
Okay. That's all I had. Did anybody else have any old business? Other discussion?
I just want to remind, August 1st at All Glaze is the Boosters Golf Outing. So I just wanted to toss that out there. If people are interested.
Still room for a few more teams.
Yes.
My husband's back in, we're not leaving until Monday.
Okay.
Or do you not?
I've already filled it, yeah.
Did you? All right.
Okay. Yeah. At least I think I have. I'll let you know for sure. I've reached out to a couple
It
other
is-
people and they sounded interested,
It
but
is probably no great loss.
you know what? I love hanging out with Mike. He's a good guy.
Okay. Any old business, or any other old business discussion or unannounced guest? All rolled into one. Okay. We are going to be going into executive session for number 1 to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, et cetera, of an employee. It is 6:14, so how about at 6:20? We will not be making any decisions when we come out. So our next meeting will be August 17th at 5:30. Do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Craig?
Second.
Galen? Thank you.
You don't have to.
Okay. Thank you,
Mr.
everyone.